developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio, video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between, we'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
My husband has always been the one we depend on. He's a great dad, loves the outdoors, but lately he hasn't been himself. He tried to hide it, but I can tell he's struggling with his mental health. I called the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline.
988 calls and texts are free and confidential with skilled caring support 24/7. No judgment, just help.
988 saved my husband's life.
Paid for by the University of Nebraska Public Policy Center. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, it's Joel Norman, the voice of your Lincoln Stars hockey team. Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket to hear the latest on the Stars with myself, head coach Rocky Russo, and special player guests.
Live from the 93.7 The Ticket studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. This is Inside the Huddle with Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Fires a pass, and it's intercepted by the Huskers at the 25, Jay Foreman. And Foreman takes it down to the 19-yard line of Oklahoma. Another big play by the Blackshirts.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Sponsored by Advanced Medical Imaging.
All right, welcome in to Ticket Sundays. This is Inside the Huddle. No Jay Foreman as he's on business, but we only got a little bit of time anyways here, so I'll keep you company. We got NFL coming up on the brick and mortar for you guys. We got over in Germany. I'll double check. I believe we have the Giants and Carolina Panthers, 8:15 this morning for you guys on the brick and mortar, but we'll keep the streams going. Facebook, YouTube, X, Allo, Channel 961. And again, this hour is still sponsored by Advanced Medical Imaging at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. All right, since we got a little bit of time here, we're going to rapid fire on a lot of these points here. First thing, I want to shout out Nebraska basketball gets another win. They sit here at 2-0, just getting by Bethune-Cookman, 63-58. And really, the Huskers were a bigger favorite in a lot of that up until the very end there. Bethune-Cookman, you give them credit. They're making threes to keep it close up until the end. But Nebraska just making free throws. That was a big problem for them last year. Really 2 years ago. They made an improvement last year, and this year you hope to see more of the same. And then turnovers. Last year, this team's biggest problem was just protection around the rim. And then at times, if you're going to be playing that small ball style and you want to play up and down fast pace, you can't be coughing the ball up a lot. And that was a big problem for them. Yesterday, though, for Nebraska, still wasn't the entirely clean game from start to finish, but they looked good. And you're seeing a lot of these new faces, Connor Season in particular, have some really big moments. We'll go through the box score. Nobody really wowed you individually as a player for either team, really. It was just a group effort. Juwan Gary for Nebraska being the leading scorer with 11 points should really tell most of the story. And then when you look at turnovers, I'm talking about with Bryce Williams, 6 turnovers on the night with 10 points. He only took 2 of 6 in this game compared to the 18 he took on the last one. For me, it's just that 6 turnovers, though. And I do expect that number to drop down a little bit. He's in a bit of a different role, and I think he's going to have to, between him and Juwan Gary, take your pick. Those two guard/wings are probably going to have to be the people who carry a lot of the offense, at least just to get it going and be that spark plug. So again, with the turnovers, 6 for Bryce Williams, he had a few in that first game as well. That's only the real kind of flags I see for this team. You look at Bethune-Cookman with 22 turnovers and then Nebraska with 18. So yeah, we won the turnover battle, but not by very much. So still a good win though. I mean, to put Cookman, sitting there at 0-2, that's an early game that can kind of set the tone on where this program's at. And it was good to see Nebraska win, but kind of in a fashion that was similar to last season, where it was truly just an all around effort. And I was asking some of the guys around the station this, what kind of team are we expecting to see? If we're going to have a elite scorer consistently be the top guy night in, night out, or for the most part, or is this going to be like last year where I think we got to 9 games in and had a different leading scorer in each of those 9 games. And I don't think this season's going to be quite the same, but I like our odds better if it is more of that spread around balance attack, because I like some of these guys on this roster. But I don't see one player that can just go ahead and carry a team in the Big Ten. Not on this roster. And very rarely do you see that in college basketball anyways. So give me this kind of all-around group effort. I think it worked well for him last year, just kind of playing that selfless basketball. Sure as hell makes you harder to scout. On the other side, you see me with this take in the NBA all the time. It's why you see MVPs in the NBA rarely ever go win a finals. Because to be the MVP in the NBA, whether it's Russell Westbrook triple-double season or it's a James Harden lighting it up from 3 type year, a lot of those times those MVPs are so ball dominant, and it's a big reason how they get those stats that although it might be impressive and even efficient, when it gets to the playoffs, it's so much easier to stop one guy than it is to stop a team of 5 guys all on the same page. And on any given night, as you see with the Boston Celtics last year, you can just have a dynamic performance from start to finish. When you got Al Horford being the hero to White, and then now Tatum finally in the last game of the NBA Finals, Tatum has his big game. So when you can rely on that group effort, you don't have that 1 or 2 superstars even, it just makes you that much harder to stop. Now, I do think Juwan Gary, Bryce Williams, you can make the argument those are going to be kind of the 2 front runners in terms of guiding this offense. But kind of what I'm seeing through these first couple games, outside of the first one with Bryce Williams taking as many shots as he did, that this team is, although going to be led at times by Juwan Gary, by Bryce Williams, it feels like it's going to be more of this all-around effort, which I got no qualms with. I think that's Nebraska's bread and butter last year. I give Keisei Tamanaga credit for that in last year's offense. For as good as a shooter as he was, you rarely saw him just decide to take matters into his own hands, which can be the smart thing to do. Because when you have one guy scoring all your points, and you can kind of see this, and some of the late Warriors woes when it became to just always going with the hot hands, like Klay Thompson all of a sudden wasn't clicking with that roster because the offense was kind of moving away to what he was good at. I mean, he was originally a splash brother that kind of sat in the corner, moved around the perimeter well. And then as that offense, continued to expand, especially when they had Kevin Durant, it became such a high motion offense that he couldn't just be that Claymore shooter anymore. And now you see him over with the Mavericks. He's kind of back to what he's good at doing, a little bit more of a Claymore, a little bit less of a motion offense. Lucas still kind of acts as what Steph Curry did for him on the Warriors, taking away a lot of that pressure. And he's just got to be that third pass and knock it down. 402-464-5685. You guys can join in. As always, no Jay Foreman, Harrison Arns. We only got a little bit of time here anyways before we switch over some NFL football. Like I said, we do got Giants, Panthers over in Germany this morning, as well as multiple games throughout the day here on 93.7 The Ticket. You'll also get the Eagles, Cowboys at 2:45, and then the Lions and Texans for the night game, 6:30. And while we're here, I want to talk a little bit of the NFL, set the stage before it does actually switch over, as we got about 3 minutes left. There's some decent games today, and probably the best ones. You're looking at those Lions and Texans, which the ticket, like I said, will have on the brick and mortar, because otherwise Commanders Steelings, there's some intrigue there. Cowboys are just at such a dumpster fire point in the season with the whole Dak Prescott injury. CD Lamb, he's to me going to be questionable every week just because I don't know what his buy-in's going to be at this point. You've already could see some tension there. You got Jerry Jones calling in on local sports radio, threatening them. Even if not threatening, just talking to him in a very condescending way. It has not been the best year for the Cowboys. From the media perspective to the product on the field, it's just been a whole lot of bad. And today is a chance to kind of steady the tide I don't think the ship's going to make it to the end of its voyage, regardless. I think McCarthy at some point is going to get the plug pulled on him, but at least a win over the Eagles today could steady the waters just enough to maybe get this team to buy in and stay just invested a little bit longer. Even if you're not a McCarthy guy, like a lot of this, which is frustrating, which if you're a Cowboys fan, you probably know this already. Like they didn't make a whole lot of moves in the offseason to make that team any better. Yes, it was a great offense heading into the playoffs, but they got waxed by the Green Bay Packers in that playoff game and wasn't even close. And then not only do you not make any moves to add some additional players, you're also just losing guys. The only big move you make in the offseason is you get Ezekiel Elliott back. Say what you will about Ezekiel Elliott, he's not good enough to all of a sudden vault that team back into serious contention. So it was always kind of bewildering. You didn't think this was going to be a team that all of a sudden leveled up into a Super Bowl caliber type team. At the same time, I don't think anybody was expecting it to be this bad. And we'll get to hear Pete Ferguson, the host of Bigger Than the Score, as always. Well, actually, he's off this weekend, but you'll hear Pete Ferguson, the biggest Cowboys fan here at 93.7 The Ticket at some point. But it seems bleak. The Cowboys do host, but this one seems really bleak. On the flip side, my Chicago Bears got the Patriots at 12 o'clock. This one, for the average NFL fan, not going to be that intrigued by it. If you're a real sicko like me watching these teams, you're going to be intrigued by it just to see where the Bears are really at. Because the whole argument with Caleb Williams was, yes, the Bears, they're playing good football, but they're not actually back to been playing bad teams. This is at least a situation where you got the Patriots to kind of rebound. They're on a 3-game skid, and if they can just figure out a way to rebound out of this one, that can put some more hope back in the city of Chicago. And why I'm bringing them up, very similar to the Chicago Bears, they're going to need this one, at least in my eyes, to kind of even Eberflus, we're talking about here, to kind of save his own skin a little bit and get the buy-in back with the community. With that being said, I'm going to get out of here. NFL on the brick and mortar coming up.